hello, alongside all my normal content, I'm doing some Mazda Speed content. So if you do want to see more of it, you know, dropping a like, subscribing could really help, so I'll make more because I know you guys like it. But anyway, what we gotta go over in the complete quick guide, we gotta do an overview of it, followed by a complete concise review. We gotta cover everything everyone else does, but only like a minute or two. Then we're gonna go on to a buyer's guide, common problems to look for what Mazda Speed 6 you should buy, followed by a mod guide. Let's get into it. Let's start with an overview of this complete whip. It's powered by the 2.3 litre MZR direct injected 4-cylinder, puts down 274 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque, and it's got 4-wheel drive. It is a front biased 4-wheel drive system. But for gripping the corners and laying down some mega launches, you can never go wrong with that. But because of that, it weighs 1,600 kgs, meaning that 0 to 100 is done in 6 seconds dead. That's the basics of this thing. Now, let's get into the review. Let's go.
Fuck, it sucks!
First of all, the refinement of this car is really good. 4 comfortable seats, big boot, it's not a brain-rattling, noisy hunk of inside. And it's also got a Bose stereo like the other Mazda Speed, so that does sound mega. It's also very easy to make power on these with some mods. Now let's get into the driving. So it is 4-wheel drive. So, you know, if you live in a snowy climate, or if you did that 4-wheel drive, this thing's got it much better than the front-wheel drive in the Speed 3s. The gearbox is really, really good. People compare it to, you know, like the S2000s, which is insane. It's really notchy, really solid, confident gearbox. And this engine is very torquey, 280 foot-pound of torque. That's the same as a brand new Golf R. Now driving this, it is better than a WRX, but not as good as an STI. So that means it does actually drive really good. And of course it's much more reliable than an STI. It's got very nice quick steering, and the throttle response thing that DI is bang on. And it's got a very picky uppy turbo. It's a KO4. And this means it is turbo-like, but it's very minimal. Especially in the Speed 6, I believe the tuning is a little bit different. It is a very controllable car, and it is pretty fun. In fact, Jeremy Clarkson said that this is really good as he slid around a corner.
Back coming round nicely, give it a bit of power. That's very good.
Now when you're driving it is a very solid feeling car, but that brings us into the negatives. Since it is a very solid feeling car, it's not quite darty and chuckable like the Evos are. It's more a fan of fast sweeping bends than tight hairpin. Also, the turbo lag was good, but because of the KO4, also the turbo power tapers off after a while, so it doesn't give you that sensation to pull it all the way to redline. But that can easily be fixed with the big turbo. Though that does cost a bit, but The interior is nice, but it is a little bit plain, isn't it? Also on the interior, the seats aren't very grippy. And the steering feel, while the steering is fast, the feel isn't so good, but it's better than anything new you can buy. Just for the time, there wasn't that much steering feel. And to mod it, you do need to know how to mod it. You can't just go slapping parts on. So now, let's go on to a buying guide. What Speed 6 should I buy? You should just buy whatever one you want, because there really isn't that much different with them. They're all manual. There wasn't any sort of facelift or anything special like that. We should more just be looking at the condition of the car, not any perhaps specs, apart from, you know, normal stuff, paint, whatever. So that brings us on to the common problems on these things. Now the engine mounts, they can tend to fail. So that's when you're putting your power down, since engine mounts fail, they're a lot softer, and that allows the engine to move around. So I'll show a clip of a car with screwed engine mounts right now. Next up is white smoke from the exhaust. This is quite likely the turbo seals are blowing. The KO4s are renowned for doing this. And turbos are expensive, so that's definitely something you want to get a cheaper price on. And then you go big turbo, and you can get that power all the way to redline. You can also get more power. Axles on these, when you launch them, like let's say 6600 RPMs, with full bolt-on meth and a big turbo, they do tend to throw their rear driver side axle. So just, make sure there's no torn boots, make sure it drives alright under load, maybe even try to launch it, just because that will show you if it is completely screwed or not. The main thing you've got to look for with these cars is how they've modded them. Like I said before, you need to know how to mod them. Quite picky, and if you don't do it properly, they're not going to be reliable, but if you do, they'll be very reliable. So what we've got to look for is if they're running anything more than an intake without high pressure fuel pump internals. If they are, they don't know this car, run away. That's one thing that you really need to look out for. Also, if they're running an OTS or an off-the-shelf tune, run away. Tunes are very important, and buying, a Cobb Stage 2 isn't good. Just one main thing is if they're following sort of the mod guide that we've done. I'll leave that up in the top right hand corner, hint hint. So now we're gonna go into a mod guide. So you just want some quick, easy, cheap power. We're gonna get ourselves an intake, and that'll get us up to 280 horsepower. On the Speed 3s it makes 20 horsepower, on this it makes, 6. That's because Speed 3s have less power stock, so yeah. So now if you want to get real serious about, we're going to get a downpipe and a high pressure fuel pump, of course, with that intake and a tune. Make sure you have a good tuner with these speeds. Someone like Freak Tune is great. So what that'll get us to is 340 crank, which is about 275 wheel. If we want some more power than that, we'll go an intercooler, a blow-off valve, catch can, catback, and E85. That'll get us a 375 crank, 315 wheel. After that, you're looking at stuff like a bigger turbo. So for most people's modding of this, that will basically suit. But if you do want to go further, please do check out the mod guide that I've done. We go way further than that. So just remember, when talking wheel horsepower, Speed 3s will have higher wheel horsepower because they're front wheel drive, not four wheel drive. Hence why if you look at downpipe, intake, high pressure fuel pumps, they both get 340 crank, but the Speed 6 gets 275 wheel, the Speed 3 gets 300 wheel. Because it's front wheel drive, less drivetrain loss, they tend to have about a bit over 10% drivetrain loss, while a four wheel drive manual will have a bit under 20%. If you did enjoy, please do drop a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.